special guest all the way from up north. We have Steve, Sbtoyz. Steve, welcome to my podcast, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure. I'm
Steve,
flattered.
First of all, I love your accent. I didn't think you'd have an accent. You probably don't. Of course, to you don't have an accent, but I love that accent. It's like you're obviously in Canada.
Yeah,
So,
I'm French Canadian, so English is my second language.
dude, so that's so awesome. I met a lot of Canadians, and I've never really known a French Canadian with the French accent. You know,
Okay.
I love it, dude. It's really great. You know. So, I mean, just look at your background, dude. Like, look at all the stuff you have in the background. I mean, it is freaking awesome. I mean, I have a very similar background, but yours is just epic, my friend.
Yeah, but it's a lot of work. They keep falling off. I don't know if you can see, but there's a bunch of them that have fallen off the shelves, and I'm redoing my inventory right now, so I just don't replace them right away because I'm going to change my setup soon.
Yeah.
There's so much new stuff coming out all the time, so I got to make room.
Oh, I know. Well, like I mentioned to you, those Kaiser stands I showed you,
Yeah.
those have been a lifesaver. It was a little pricey. I mean, they were about $1 and change for each stand, but man, I got 150 of them, and it's changed my life. Like, I can't get here, and stuff has not fallen over, and like ever since I put them up, you know.
Yeah, I should invest in that because it's getting ridiculous now. It's crazy. Every day I hear them all the time. It makes my dog go crazy because he's scared.
Yeah.
Every time he hears a noise, he starts barking. So
Well, then I'm sure your heart skips a beat too, because you don't know what's fallen over. If it's like something expensive, you know, and there's always the chain reaction when one falls over, it might hit another one coming down the shelf.
yeah,
You know?
it's mostly the chain reaction stuff. The expensive stuff, I don't really care for. Like, I don't collect for the investment purpose of it. I just collect because I like it. So of course it sucks if it's an expensive figure, but so far so good. Nothing expensive broke except my cyborg superpowers a few years ago.
Oh no, that's
It
tragic.
broke to pieces. I still have to replace it, but it's so expensive now.
Oh geez, that's tough, man. Well, Steve, again, thanks for joining me, and I wanted to have you on the show because I love your collection. I love what you collect, because you collect everything. And I just find you really interesting, what you collect. So, first of all, take me back to when you're younger, like what you were collecting as a kid, and kind of how your childhood was with collecting.
Well, for me, the figure love started probably when I was 3-4 years old. When I got my first figures were Adventure People from Fisher Price. I don't know if you remember those.
Oh.
They were like, they had emergency stuff, rescue fire trucks, camping stuff, and all that. So that was probably my first few action figures that I got when I was really young, and I played so much with those when I was a kid. And then of course, with everybody from my generation, Star Wars hit, and that made it big. So my first real action figures were Star Wars, like most kids my age. And then I went to G.I. Joe. From Star Wars, I went to G.I. Joe, and G.I. Joe was the thing I played the most with when I was a kid. It was my love for about 10 years. I started with that, but throughout the years, you know, superpowers came along, so I had my little phase of superpowers and Mask and Masters of the Universe and stuff like that, but I always came back to G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe was my main line, so I'm very, very happy that they are coming out now in 6-inch format.
Interesting. So G.I. Joe do you have a lot of old G.I. Joes? I don't see too many pictures of your old G.I. Joes. Do you have like the originals and things like that?
No, because maybe like in 2008, I sold my entire toy collection.
Oh, no.
Everything, because at the time I had a toy store. I had a toy store for 16 years, and I was always working and always at the store. So I was like, what's the point of having all these figures at home? I can't enjoy them. So I just sold everything. And then a few years later, I got a bit of a health issue thing. So I closed my store. I took a complete year off, and then I started collecting again because I missed it. And I just been rebuilding my collection for about 5-6 years now.
And you're doing a great job rebuilding it, by the way.
It's an expensive job, but yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The problem is I don't have a focus. I like action figures in general, so I'm all over the place. I can't focus on one line because I love toys so much. And the time that we're in, the toys are so great. Like, from every company makes great products, all size and all that. I try to limit myself to the 6 to 8-inch figures, but once in a while I'll dip into other stuff. The only thing I still have from my original collection is my superpowers, because they're the ones I had when I was a kid. I played a lot with them, but I always took care of my toys when I was a kid. Never lost my weapons and stuff like that. Always took care of them. I upgraded maybe 1 or 2 through the years, but all the rest is my original stuff from when I was a kid.
You're a better kid than I am because man, my toys did not survive childhood. I have
Uh,
nothing from when I was a kid. Because I used to destroy them. I make my parents buy new ones. It was great. You took so much care of them.
I did. I enjoyed my toys. I was a spoiled kid, but my parents saw that I took care of my toys. Even when the company came over to play, I would hide all my accessories so nobody loses them or stuff like that. But I always took care. I always loved toys since I was a kid.
Oh man, what got you into toys? Was it just you were a kid? You were just from that age, you just really loved them, and it never really died.
Yeah, I never grew out of it. When you get to your teenage years, you get interested in music, girls, so the toys are tossed aside a bit. But
Yeah.
I always had a little shelf with toys. Even when in high school, I had toys in my room, and girls would come over like, "What the hell is this?"
Well, I can relate to that. I think a lot of guys our age can relate to that.
It's not like today. Today it's very mainstream, so everybody's
man.
collecting something. But back then, you were a nerd. If you collect toys, comics, you were a total nerd.
It's so funny because I'm the old guy now complaining. When I was growing up, kids did not like, if you were collecting toys, people did not think you were very cool. So, I was always sort of keeping it on the down low in high school and whatnot,
Yeah. But even today, you tell people you collect toys, they're like, really? And then when they come over and they see it, it's very impressive. They're all impressed by it.
That's very true. It is impressive. Yeah. So take me a little bit back to the toy store. So you had the toy store for 16 years, you said?
Yeah.
How did that start? Like, what got you there?
Well, I was collecting toys, and as you could probably know, my collection was getting out of hand. It was a very expensive hobby, so I'm like, I had a video store at the time, so I'm like, let me open accounts with toy companies. I'll order a case for myself, keep my set, and resell the rest through my video store. So that's how I started, and then I built up a little customer base, and then I branched out, and I opened a second store, a real toy store. It was called Legends Action Figures, and then we were online, and we had a lot of customers across Canada. I'm pretty sure some of you guys that have been collecting for a while know about my store because we shipped everywhere, but we had a lot of customers in Canada. We were like one of the first websites to sell action figures in Canada.
That's awesome. So you had a video store first.
Yeah.
So how did that get started? Have you just always been an entrepreneur? You always wanted your own business, or how did you get into that?
Well, when I was younger, my uncle had a couple of video stores, and when I was a teenager, I was working at his video store. So I started there. I got my experience there, and when I finished high school, I didn't want to pursue go back to school and stuff like that. I just wanted to work. So I wanted to open a comic book store first, and then I'm like, well, you know what? I have the opportunity to open a video store. I know this business because I've been working in it for a little while, so let me start with that. So I started with that, and I opened it in 1995, and then it led to the toy store, which I opened in 1997, and then back in 2006, I sold the video store because I didn't have time to take care of it because the toy business was taking too much of my time, and I got out of the video business just in time before the DVD and everything started.
That was good timing on your part. That was great timing.
Yeah. So that's it. That's pretty much it. I was working for myself, and then after I got my health issues, I took a year off, and then now I work for somebody. So I don't have the stress anymore. I just do my stuff, and I enjoy it.
I want to ask you about that. So you had the toy store. So obviously, toys are your passion. You had a store that was focused on it. Was it not as much fun as you thought it would be after a few years? Did it become too much work, or what was that?
It is a lot of work. People think that you just order from the pre-used catalog, wait for the stuff to come, and it sells by itself. It doesn't work like that. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of work. At times, it made me hate the business, but at times it made me love it even more. When I got my first chance to go to the New York Toy Fair. You've been, so you know.
I know. Oh my gosh.
In the 90s, early 2000s, it was crazy. So parts like that I really liked about the business, but other stuff, dealing with companies sometimes is a pain because to me, it's not normal that you have to beg the companies to open an account to get their products. They should be coming to us and contact about carrying their products. So it was really tough, especially being in Canada because all the companies are in the US. So you have to deal with the transport, the customs and everything. So it was a bit of a pain, but I love toys so much, man. It's just like, I didn't care.
So I've always wondered this. You go to comic book stores and you see a lot of toys sitting on the shelves for years. Some of them, right? They're just collecting dots. How do you make a profit doing that? Like, do the toy companies sell it to you really cheap? I mean, is it as simple as that? And whatever your markup is, where the profit is, or how profitable was it to sell toys? Was it challenging?
It is more now than it was back then, because back then you didn't have at the beginning you didn't have the internet and eBay and Amazon and all these big websites. So you brought in your toys. You had the markup was maybe 30%. If you want to stay competitive, it was 30%. Some people sell it for more, some a little for less. But then Amazon, eBay, and all that came along, so that changed. So you take a smaller market like 20%, 25% sometimes, but you still have all your overheads to pay and all that. So it's a bit challenging at times, and it's probably why so many stores close because
Yeah.
or don't carry toys anymore because they're not as profitable as a comic book. Let's say the markup is better on a comic, but then you go with volume. That's what I used to do. I used to order big volume and go on volume.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because even with comic books, I know most people who own a comic book store or a toy store, it's more out about the passion, more about the love of doing it, right? Than
Oh
the
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So,
It's a really tough business. People don't realize how tough it is. A tough business. But what can you do?
right, right.
You're
Well,
passionate.
so you had the toy store for 16 years. I don't want to go too much into your personal life and your health issues and all that. But so that year you took off, did you like to sell off most of your collection in
I
general?
have sold everything at this point because that happened in 2013. But I had sold everything in 2008, I think.
Wow. So you had nothing. You sold everything and you were pretty
I
much done.
sold everything. The only thing I had left was my superpowers. I had a little shelf in my living room with my superpower stuff on it.
So then, Steve, you sounds like you got over your health issues. You probably started working again. And
Yep.
then, what was the rebuilding like of your action figures? Like, where did you start? Did you even think Did you even think, man, I didn't want to go through this again and buying all this stuff? Or like, how
No,
did it happen?
I just started. I stopped in a store, a comic book store. I saw, I think it was some Batman Arkham Origins figures that just came out. This is a cool figure, so I just picked up a few,
Yeah.
and I still had some shelves in one of my rooms that hadn't taken off, so I started putting the figures there. And then let me go online and I checked Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, little groups here and there, and I started picking a figure here and there, and just like I rebuilt it. My first passion is superheroes now, like
Yeah.
Marvel, DC, mostly. So I started with that, but then there's so much cool figures now, and I just fell right back into it really quick. And
So,
right now in the process, I'm rebuilding all my old. I want to rebuild all the old Kenner lines, the old DC Direct stuff that I haven't gotten a chance to rebuy again. So I'm slowly doing it. I'm not hunting for anything. Whatever comes my way, and if the price is right and I don't have it, I'll just pick it up.
wow. So you don't you love the action figure. You're not you. So does it? I'm just trying to figure out the way you're thinking when you buy an action figure. Is it just if it looks cool to you, you don't really think about is it DC, is it Marvel, is it GI Joe? That's what you
Exactly.
go for.
If it looks cool, I buy it. I have tons of figures from video games or movies I don't even like or I haven't
Yeah.
seen, and I still buy them. If the toy looks cool and it talks to me, I just buy it and I try to enjoy it. Sometimes it's a good toy, sometimes it's not as
Yeah.
good, but I love toy. I find the good in every toy. I love toys.
Man, you're such an anomaly. But most of us, we have to choose one line or choose one or two because, like, for me, I would love to buy more Marvel or a lot like Ninja Turtles, thing, whatever. But like, I'm like, no, I gotta stay with DC. I can't afford all this other stuff. I don't have the room for it. You know what I mean? So that's great that you're able to buy whatever you want. You
Well,
know?
the room is becoming an issue. I have so much. I have like Rubbermaid containers full of loose toys.
Oh
Thank God
yeah,
I stored my stuff because if I didn't open it, I don't know where I would put it. There would take so much room with the boxes.
I
And I
know.
don't understand why people don't open their toys. Their toys, they're made to be played with. I don't understand how you can enjoy a toy in the package. Sure, some of them look good, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you're speaking to the choir. You know me. I open everything. Even the one you sent me, that Sinestro. Thank you, by
Yeah.
the way. You sent me last year. I kept it in the box just for like a month, just because like, oh man, Steve sent me this. I should, it's like a gift. Keep it. I opened it. It's over here, on the shelf.
Well, that's the way it should be.
Exactly.
In my
I
opinion.
guess.
I understand some people that like the packaging art and all that. Like I collect the Super 7 reaction figures. I love
Yeah,
their packaging art, but I buy two because I still need one open. I
absolutely.
want to display. I know it's expensive. You can't buy two of everything, but it just does. I don't understand why people would not open a toy.
Well, the other thing, just logistically, like we have enough trouble displaying our stuff out of the package. I would love to see someone's collection of in the package because like it takes up so much more space when you
Yeah,
get the package. It's very fascinating.
some display it nicely. They just like put it on the wall,
Right.
but like to collect just to put them in boxes and store them away. I don't understand the purpose of
Well,
it.
that's why I'm struggling with that a little bit too. I'm trying to slow down a little bit on what I'm buying just because I have so much stuff in my crates that
Yeah.
it's getting like, man, I'm displaying less because I just have too much. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to rotate my collection out, I take stuff out, I put it back in, but it's a problem, and we're never gonna have enough room, right? If we keep buying,
Exactly.
you
That's
know.
what I want to start doing. That's why I'm gonna start taking my shelves on. Because I want to do because it's too much. It's too clogged on my shelf. So I want to do proper settings like you have. You can see the figures. Mine are so crammed that sometimes you miss a lot of the good stuff.
Oh,
So I
I
want
know.
to pay a little less, but it still kills me to have some in boxes that I can't see. I like to see my stuff on this.
Exactly. By the way, your Green Lantern figures right behind you.
Yeah.
Holy cow, dude! You have like the deepest bench. Like when people compliment me and say, "Dude, you got the most DC figures I've ever seen," I always tell them about you. When they DM me, I'm like, "No, go look at Sbtoyz, dude. That guy, I think, literally has almost every DC Direct figure ever produced. I mean, you're getting pretty
I
close."
did at one point. I'm still missing some since I started rebuilding. But the first time I sold my collection in 2004, I had everything from Marvel and DC from 1983 up to that year, minus maybe 10 to 15 pieces,
Wow.
including vehicles, playsets, figures of all sizes. But it's just like I realized at one point I'm never gonna have a house big enough to display everything, so I just sold a bunch of it.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So you're definitely a completist then. It sounds like.
I try not to be, but yeah, I usually am.
That's tough these days, dude. There's so
But
much stuff.
I figure I don't like, especially with the Star Wars Black Series. I like the creatures and Alien from Star Wars. I like the troopers, but the human characters, I can't. But I still buy them because it's gonna annoy me that I have a hole in my collection, and down the line I know it, so I just pick it up anyways.
Oh man, do you ever buy anything like usually when I divert from DC, I buy like a few weeks ago I bought the Playmobil DeLorean, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
sweet. I mean, it's back in the box somewhere because I liked it for a while. I displayed it, but then I'm like, and I put it away. Do you ever get that way about anything you buy, or is it all pretty much everything you buy you want to display it and keep it out?
I like to display it, keep everything out. I don't have that many regrets on stuff I buy. I impulse buy a lot of stuff. Sometimes even at the dollar store, like those little robot transformers, they're
Yeah.
really cheap. But if I need a toy fix, hey, $2, I'll just grab it. I'll play for it for 5 minutes and I'll put it there. I just love toys, man. I can't explain it.
No, hey man, I totally get. I feel like for us, I've talked to a lot of collectors. Like this is our drug, right? This is our
Yeah,
vice. You know what I mean? This is the
yeah.
thing. Like my wife says, she'll joke around or like, "You trying to a girl on Instagram? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "No, I'm looking at action figures. I'm on eBay. I'm on Macari. I'm buying stuff. That's my vice, buying action figures." Which I don't think is a bad vice. You know what I mean? It's
Do you
I'm
do
not,
most of your shopping online, or you try to encourage more stores, or
you
what
know,
do you?
I love going into a store. I love going into a comic book store or a collectible store locally and just finding stuff. But obviously with COVID and even before
Yeah.
that, it's just I'm a kid, so it's hard to do that. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm on eBay, Amazon, Macari, and OfferUp. I don't know if you guys have OfferUp over there, but
No.
it's basically an app where people sell stuff locally in your
Okay.
area. So and people use it like it's an online garage sale basically.
Okay. Oh, we might have it. I don't know. I don't shop much online. Me, I prefer to have it in my hand. But the
Okay.
only thing I'll buy online is I'll buy exclusive that I can't find locally. But even big box stores, I just buy the exclusives there. I don't buy the rest. I like to encourage the smaller guys, and as much as I can.
Oh, me too.
I don't-
It's it's tough though. The smaller guys aren't that many around anymore. You
No,
know what I mean?
no.
Like,
But even before, like at flea markets, garage sales stuff, you used to find all kinds of stuff. But now with all these other opportunities that they have to sell their stuff for more money. You
yeah,
don't find these deals anymore, and some people they're not really knowledgeable. So, oh, it's Star Wars. It's worth that much. It's expensive because it's
right.
Star Wars. No, not necessarily.
No,
But
not at all.
people have it in their head. Oh, Star Wars, it's expensive.
Oh yeah, exactly. But the opposite of true too. Some of these sites they go on, man, these people know what their figures are worth, and they really gouge a little bit. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So, Steve, you collect everything. What's your favorite line? What's your favorite line that you're collecting right now? Like, what's your favorite current line that
I
you
would have to go with Marvel Legends.
yeah?
The team on that line is knocking it out of the park. They're giving us so many good, cool figures. They have a nice variety of movie stuff, classic comic stuff, modern comic stuff. It's just the team that's working on that line is awesome. They put
Yeah.
a how GI Joe. If they go a long way with GI Joe, that's going to be my number one line. I'm really a big GI Joe fan.
I know, like, to talk about Marvel Legends for a sec, I always tell people I wish I lived in the alternate timeline where DC was Marvel Legends. You know,
Yeah.
because the sheer quantity of awesome figures that Marvel people, I don't know how people afford it. Like, it's just
It's crazy.
yeah,
They
especially
cover
for
so much
us
stuff.
guys, who buy the obscure stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's nuts. Did you buy the Sentinel? Did you buy the HasLab Sentinel?
I order at least one. I'm debating buying a second one because I'm a sucker like that. If it has two heads, I'll buy two to display both. I'm a sucker like that.
Hey man, well first of all, having two Sentinels would be great. Two huge
Yeah.
Sentinels. I'm even debating buying one. I'm not even a Marvel guy, but like I love X-Men, and that Sentinel is that's the ultimate Sentinel you can buy, right?
I just don't know where I'm going to put it. That's
I know.
another issue.
That thing is huge. I see your Sentinels up there with Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
but they're going to get a lot bigger. So I don't know. I just got Scorponok from Transformers last week,
yeah.
and it's so big. It's just sitting in the corner of the room because I don't know where to put it.
So you don't buy too much online. So you're going to stores a lot to buy your stuff. So you don't get a lot of deliveries.
Nope, not much. A little bit more now because of COVID.
Yeah.
I was like surfing eBay and buying all kinds of random crap, like toy lines like Battlefield Earth that nobody cares for. If it's cheap enough, I get the full set. There's small lines to collect. I don't have them, so I buy them because I still enjoy them, even though the
That,
movie wasn't
I was
that
about to
good.
say, that was the John Travolta movie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
It was
wow,
a terrible movie. Terrible movie.
dude, I love it, bro. You're freaking deep, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
so you have some really obscure lines, huh? You must have some really interesting things.
Yeah, I do. I like those little lines that nobody cares for. I still think they're cool. If they were made at one point, it's because there was interest or they thought it was going to be interest, right? Because like movies like Virus, nobody really remembers that, but they had a toy line of like 8 to 10 figures.
That's a good point. I
So
remember I remember the Robin Hood line from the Kevin
yeah,
Costner movie. I kind of
yeah.
wish I had that line, and God, there's so many. The Shadow, remember the Shadow movie
Oh,
line?
I love that. I love the Shadow line. I'm rebuilding it right now, actually.
Oh, dude, if you like the Shadow, hold on a sec. Hold on, I'm gonna show you something you'll like from the Shadow. Here's you might remember this from the
Oh my
movie,
god.
the,
Yeah,
dagger. That's my one collectible from the Shadow. I use
that's
this
pretty
to,
cool.
I use this to open my boxes when they come.
Do you have a lot of props like that, or you collect props too?
Not really. I have that. I have this, of course, the Captain
Nice.
America shield. But no, that's really. Oh, and I have the sword from the Zorro movie.
Oh, that's cool.
It's up there. I can't grab it, but I don't have too many props. I'm trying not to like buy anything other than. So my rule is 6 to 7 inch DC action figures. That's the only thing I can collect, just because the room
That's a
and the
lot
money.
already because they made a lot of the DC Universe Classic line. That line should have never stopped. Mattel was doing such a great job with that line. I wish it would have kept it going.
Dude, that's such a great line. I mean, it was the obscure characters that they produced from that line. You
Yeah,
know, like there are waves where there wasn't even like a Batman or Superman in the wave.
right.
And so let's talk about DC for a sec. So you collect DC Universe Classics.
Yeah,
You have DC Direct. We got
and you're McFarlane.
you know. What are your thoughts on all of it now? How did you feel about Mattel? How do you feel about McFarlane? What are your thoughts?
Well, Mattel is pretty much done, but I used to love what they did. Their multiverse line, the movie stuff, not so much. Like the Suicide Squad figures, I think
Yeah.
were off a lot. Even the Justice League, the BVS stuff. Uh, but their last few comic book lines were very, very good. I think it would have had the potential of continuing. But it's over, and now McFarlane took off, and I am liking what McFarlane is doing right now. He's giving us obscure figures and all that, so that's cool. A lot of people were complaining about issues in the first few figures, but you got to give the guy a chance.
Right.
That's what I
Yeah,
think. It's getting better because the last few weeks, the Azrael, the White Knight figures are awesome, and I can't wait for the Dark Knight stuff, the Dark Metal stuff.
How do you feel about DC Direct sort of, they're still doing DC Essentials, they're doing the Adventure Continues line, they're tapering off a little bit, it feels like. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
Um, I wish they would go to the old ways, the way they used to do it, like artist-specific ways, like the Blackest Night stuff. It was awesome. They give us some great characters, awesome sculpts. I miss that. I feel in the last few years, DC Direct, they were trying to find themselves, like relaunching lines after lines after lines in different sizes, and we always got the same, like Batman, Deathstroke, always the same. I understand Batman, Superman, they're like the flag characters for DC, but I like what they used to do before
Yeah.
more. I think they should go back to doing that. it was working better for them.
And it's so interesting because it felt like it was successful. Like I look behind you, I see the Blackest Light, Blackest Night, and the Green Lantern line, and it felt like they were so successful doing those very comic book artist specific series. I wonder what happened. Like I wonder if like they stopped selling or what the interest was. I wonder why there was such a change to kind of what they went to. You know, it's very interesting.
Yeah, we have to talk to somebody at DC that probably could answer that. But
I know
when I had my store, the DC Direct lines were selling very good.
Yeah.
Back then, so I don't know what happened. And at the time, Mattel wasn't really competing with them because they were releasing different stuff all the time.
Right.
Now maybe the McFarlane stuff is more like what DC Direct used to do. They're like more like comic specific waves and stuff like that. So I don't know where that's gonna go. And the Spin Master line, well, smaller scale. I bought the first wave. They're cool for what they are for the price point. It's pretty right, but it's too small for me. I prefer my figures bigger than that. But I gotta admit though, they have a pretty cool range of characters because Killer Mutt in their first few waves is awesome.
That's so true, man. And they're nice little figures. You know, you're right. If they were a little bit bigger, I'd probably go for them too. But I like on the shelf, I like 6 to 7 inch. You know, if you put anything too smaller, it gets a little cluttered. What about the Japanese and the Taiwanese companies like Beast Kingdom, Maplex, SH Figure Arts? You buy a lot of those as well?
I have a couple of Figure Arts figures, a couple of Maplex, but I'm not a fan of those. I like my toys more sturdy. I find they're too fragile. They're really nice detail, but they're too tiny. They seem fragile to me. I prefer my like the Hasbro Mattel like hard plastic real toy feel. I prefer that. I understand why people love the other ones, but to me, they're too expensive for what they are.
Yeah, they're pretty pricey. I mean, I love Beast Kingdom. You'll see my collection back there. I feel
like any Beast Kingdoms, but they do look pretty good.
They're pretty good, dude. I'm not trying to encourage you. You don't need more stuff, but they're pretty awesome, you know? So what are your thoughts on kind of like the resurgence of all these 80s? You got Ninja Turtles, you have G.I. Joe, He-Man's blowing up again. Yeah. What are your thoughts on all those? What do you think about the figures you've seen so far?
I'm loving it because I grew up with that stuff, and the companies doing them now are knocking it out of the park.
Yeah,
I really, really enjoy it, and they're good. They're good properties. They're timeless. They'll never go away, probably. And it's for people my generation. I guess the generation after me, probably in a few years, we'll see Dragon Ball, Power Rangers, even more, and stuff like that come back to life for that generation because they'll have the money to buy like their nostalgia back. Yeah. So to me, it's great. I'm very excited about the NECA Defenders of the Earth line. I can't wait to see those in person. With more like lines like Silverhawks and stuff like that would be cool if they revived them.
Oh man, I know.
I'm really loving it.
Are you gonna go for that NECA Super Shredder later today? I think it goes on sale at 10 a.m. East. No, like 2 or something like that.
I'm not sure. Probably, I'll probably end up getting it. One way or the other.
I know. I think I'm gonna try to go for it. I haven't bought any of their NECA Ninja Turtles because they're expensive and hard to find. But
they're hard in the U.S. and Canada. They're not hard to find because the hobby shops are gonna whatever is exclusive to Walmart and Target in the States. We don't have Target here, and Walmart doesn't carry NECA here. So, like hobby store have access to this. The distributor for NECA in Canada.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so people have a hard time finding a Casey Jones. I'll just be patient or try to find a Canadian website. They'll have it. We're scheduled to get them, I think, at the end of August or something like that.
Yeah, it's a little challenging over here. I'm in California, so every time I go to a Walmart or Target, they're already gone. You know what I mean? So speak to that a little bit, Steve. Like collecting in Canada, like is it challenging for you, or are you just patient and you'll get it eventually, or do you get frustrated?
It's very brutal because there's a lot of stuff we don't get. We often get the stuff later, and we get it in smaller quantities. I never really had a problem finding my stuff because I toy hunt daily because it's on my way to work. I cross like 4 Walmarts, Toys R Us, and all that, so I shop almost daily. So whenever there's something, I rarely don't find it. Nice. But I see all these guys that have a hard time. I know there's a lot of scalpers here, a lot of resellers buying all this stuff. I have witnessed it so many times. But for me personally, it's not as bad. And I have a lot of resources because I made so many contacts through the years. So if I can't find something, I have a buddy in the States that'll ship it to me or somewhere else in Canada.
Nice.
So I'm lucky for that because I made a lot of contacts. But for the average collector that doesn't have the opportunity to visit the stores daily, it can be challenging, yes.
Have you ever thought about reopening a toy store? Have you ever thought about getting back into that again?
I think about it, but you know what? Right now I'm just enjoying myself. I just do my stuff. I'll take my little pictures for my Instagram account, which I love. It's a hobby I never thought I would do, like take pictures of my toys, but I like it and people seem to like it. So no, I don't think I would. And the business has changed so much now with Amazon and all that. And again, I work in the comic book store now, and even now we have to beg to get our products. We have to fight to get the stuff. We're always allocated. It's a really a real pain to deal with sometimes.
Oh, that's tough, dude.
Yeah.
Well, you touched on that a little bit, so let's talk about your Instagram. That's how we met. That's how I know you. So talk about your experience joining Instagram, like what you thought about it at first, and like what you like about it.
Well, I was never into Instagram up to like when I opened my account, maybe like 3 years ago, I think. It was like some people were like, you should do it, take some pictures. There's a lot of accounts that have pictures. You'll like it. You'll even enjoy like seeing the other people's collections. So I started browsing, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I started posting my stuff, and I built up a better following than I've never thought I would have so many people follow me.
Yeah.
But I just do it because I enjoy it, you know. So that's pretty much it. But yeah, there's a lot of cool accounts out there.
Do you find do you think it helps you? I'm not sure if helps the right word, but I know with me, seeing all the stuff on Instagram makes me buy more. Does the same effect happen to you?
Not because I already bought a lot, so it doesn't do anything.
You're buying it, so it doesn't matter.
And often I'm like one of the first to get a lot of the stuff. So I'm like always in the first few to get it most of the time. So I don't check toy reviews and stuff like that. I make my own decisions when I see the toys, and
Me too.
I'll still buy it. Even if a reviewer gives it a bad review, I'll still buy it if I find it's cool and judge for myself. But I like the way people set up their stuff. I like accounts like yours that that they display the figures, that you can actually see the figures. I mean, some of these guys that do dioramas and those action shots, they're awesome.
Right.
But to me, sometimes you lose the figure in the picture. I like to see the figures on all angles, like the face, the close up, the clothing, like all the detail that goes into it, the work that goes into it. That's what I prefer.
And man, you take great pictures. The picture you posted the other day with the caption of "What year are we in?" And you posted like a G.I. Joe, a Transformer, a He-Man. I was like, last night I was on eBay looking for an Optimus Prime. I wanted to create like a little shelf just with 80s nostalgia. You know what I mean? Just the way the picture you took. I'm like, it would be so dope to have a little shelf life. I'm like, no. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here. I don't need to buy this stuff.
You should. The Transformer Sieges line is very nice. They're affordable. They're not too big. They don't take that much space unless you go with the big figures. But like the Optimus Prime is like this big. So they look good and they're affordable.
It's not bad. And that Snake Eyes from the G.I. Joe line is, it's very tempting, Steve. It's very tempting, All right, Steve. Well, I think that's good. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I will continue to follow you guys. Everyone, Sbtoyz on Instagram. Anything else you want to plug? The comic book store that you work at or anything? I
work at Heroes Comics Laval near Montreal in Canada. We have a Facebook page. You can go check us out there. We have an Instagram account, which is not like I'm not working as much on the Instagram account right now, but it's something I'm looking to do more for the store eventually. But yeah, that's it. And come follow me. Don't be shy to talk. I'm friendly usually.
You're very friendly.
My toys are for sale. That's the thing. Do you get that a lot? Are your toys for sale?
Yeah, all the time, dude. I'm like, no, they are not. And they'll like be aggressive and keep asking. I'm like, no, dude, I don't sell stuff. Yeah,
it's crazy. I used to write it in my description, but like people still ask. And recently with the Godzilla stuff, people you have no idea how much messages I got to purchase the new Godzilla stuff. I didn't know Godzilla had such a big following still.
No kidding. I think you're one of the, like you said, you're one of the first to get them. So I think that's why people were like hounding you for those, man.
Yeah, I was crazy. But thanks for having me. It was really fun. I hope we can do it again sometimes.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Steve.